Hey YouTube, this is Razor here, and I'm just going to show you my budget version of Monarchs just by using the 3 structure decks. So for those who cannot obtain singles or get some staple cards like Majesty's Fiend, this deck profile will show you exactly how to build it just by using the 3 structures. Okay, so we'll get into the deck profile here. So we run 3 Erebus, 3 Aethers, and then for the original Monarchs, we run 2 Thestalos, 1 Mobius, and 1 Caius. Now, it is a little bit ironic that we're only running 1 Caius because he used to be considered the best Monarch before the Mega Monarchs came along and these were released. So it's a little ironic because, so the reason why we focus more on the Thestalos is because Caius is not good first turn play, because he requires a card to, if there's no other cards on the field, he's going to have to target himself because it's a mandatory effect. And Mobius isn't good either if your opponent went second. So Thestalos is just a more solid first turn play. And also Caius is a little overshadowed now by Erebus, his big brother, because simply Erebus doesn't target, so he can get rid of Dark Destroyers or things that can't be targeted. So his purpose kind of diminished with the inclusion of the new Monarchs. And so every other Monarch just has a more fulfilled role in the deck. So Caius is just overshadowed now. So for those first turn plays, Thestalos is the man, or Erebus, or even Aether. And if you wanted to get rid of something, Erebus is the best, or Mobius for spells and traps or scales. So you see how Caius is kind of left in the middle, where he's not the greatest, or he's not the best at doing what he's supposed to be doing. So that's why he's kind of fallen to the wayside. Okay, so then we run the 3 Aedeas, 3 Eidos, 1 Landrobe. It's a good out to floodgate monsters like Nituria Beast, Infinity, Rafflesia. Then we run 2 Battle Faders. Good to stop Cosmos from getting their farm girls off or OTKing you. So once you can afford the maxis, then obviously you should play them. But Battle Faders are just very effective because Monarchs are they have very good answers to anything your opponent throws at you because of Erebus's effect. And with Aether being able to recruit anything else to basically beat over stuff. So I feel like with Monarchs, you really just need to make sure that you don't brick and you can just survive, and then you can just pretty much answer whatever they have on the field, especially with the amount of floodgates that you play, because Monarch's playstyle is very similar to Cleafort's and also Spellbooks, because with Spellbooks they spam their spells to fill up their graveyard and then recycle them with their Spellbook Tower. Monarchs are very similar in that sense, and also they're similar to Cleafort's, where they use skill drain like effect cards or lock your opponent out. And so we'll get to that a little bit later. So we run 3 Pantheism, 3 Tenacity. This is your draw power and this is your consistency. And consistency is king because, I mean, you thin your deck so much by just these 6 cards. And then for the Floodgate of the Century, Domain of the True Monarch. With this, your opponent cannot use their extra deck as long as you control a tribute summon monster. So with this, you just shut down Satellar's, Pepe, or whatever deck that needs to use their extra deck. And then we run the 3 Stormforts because it's a great out to Floodgate monsters or just annoying monsters in general. And then we run the 1 Return of the Monarchs because this one we only need to run 1 copy because it's not totally necessary to run more than 1. Between Erebus's recycling and Aether recruiting more Monarchs, you're not going to be starving of resources just because you didn't draw this. So it's really good to have like first turn, but it's again not totally necessary to, you know, have in the game. Like if you didn't drew this game 1 or game 2, it's not going to make or break your game, but it's definitely helpful. So 1 is the perfect amount. And then we run 1 March of the Monarchs. Again, this makes your boards even harder to crack. They can't just simply wipe your field with Dark Holes or Raigekis, so they'll likely just be slowed down into getting rid of them by battling them. And the bigger Monarchs, you know, they're not that easy to get over without, you know, some kind of effect. So this just makes it harder for your opponent. And then we run the 3 Prime Monarchs. This is like your spellbook tower for Monarchs. You can start recycling your spells and trap support, and then also use this as tribute fodder. Then we run the 3 Monarchs Erupt. This is the skill drain for Monarchs. If you control a tribute summon monster, all monster effects on the field are negated except for tribute summon monsters. So it can be a one-sided skill drain against any other matchup except for the mirror. It does shut off your Adia and Eidos plays, but other than that, it's a really good floodgate to have. And then Escalation of the Monarchs is a very nice tech addition because, I mean, if you think about it, there's a good scenario you can come out with. So let's say first turn you're able to tribute summon Erebus, and you force your opponent to just start with 1 less card. So when they draw, they'll have 5 cards. Right, so they'll have 5 cards, and let's say you had Mobius in hand and you had Escalation set. So when it's their turn, and let's say they're Pepe and they try to set their scales, tribute summon for Mobius on their turn, bam, you just got rid of 2 more cards, so now they're left with 3 cards. So on top of Erebus, you know, sniping a card out of their hand back into the deck, and then Mobius, you know, disrupting their spells and traps or scales. It's a really powerful disruption. So that way you don't have to depend entirely on Aether to disrupt your opponent. It's a good combo to use Aether with the Monarch Stormforth because you're tributing their monster for Aether. But other than that, Aether is not really disruptive unless you play Karaz the Light Monarch. But again, this is just for the structure deck version. So if you play Escalation, Mobius is awesome, Erebus is awesome to use with, or even Thestalos, or even Caius. If you want to banish one of their scales or an important card, you can certainly do that. So that's my deck profile of Monarchs. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know in the section below what you guys thought about it. Oh, and by the way, Mobius would be one of my favorite Monarchs, despite it not being that great right now. Like back in the day when it came out in Soul of the Duelist, I believe the pack was called. Yeah, Soul of the Duelist. This card was really awesome. I mean, just look at the artwork. It's super rare, and you know, has those glacier ice. Just looks awesome. And the effect to blow up 2 cards, 2 spell or trap cards, was pretty awesome back then. I mean, that was pretty awesome. So Mobius was one of my favorite cards of all time, and it's pretty neat to still be able to use him in a competitive deck here. So Monarchs in general, I feel, have a great matchup against Cosmos. Again, as long as you don't let them OTK you. And any other rogue decks, I feel they can pretty much just destroy because of the sheer amount of advantage that you get while also locking them out. And also against Pepe, since they were recently neutered by the ban list, or whatever they call it, the adjustment list, I feel like Monarchs, even with this build, like you can still do a lot with this budget friendly build. So yeah, that's my take on Monarchs, the budget version, and just let me know in the section below what you thought about it. Thanks.